I've investigated some weird cases in my time as a dick, but this one is the weirdest. Peter Wellington isn't your ordinary murder victim. He has a little pink nose, big floppy ears, and spends most of his time in a cage. That's right, he's a rabbit. He was found dead in his cage by Peter Wellington a week ago today, cut wide open, with blood everywhere. A lesser detective would just dismiss this as a random act of animal violence, but not Bumpy Hogart. After a week of hard work and chain smoking, I finally figured out who's done it. Gentlemen, ladies, I know who is responsible for the death of Peter Wellington.
Oh, thank goodness. Now we can finally catch the wretch that killed my father's beloved pet rabbit.
I assure you, a lesser detective wouldn't have been able to solve this case. But lucky for you, it was I, Bumpy Hogart, that got it.
Who did it? Who slew Peter? When I find out who it is, I'll run him right out of town.
Calm down, Mr. Wellington. All will be revealed in due time. My first suspect was your maid, Miss Rosa Rodriguez.
How dare you? I don't kill innocent animals. I only cook the dead ones.
Don't interrupt me, Rosa. I'm elaborating. You see, Rosa prepares all of Peter's meals, so she easily could have slipped some sort of sedative, like a sleeping pill, into his dinner. And after she fed Peter his last meal, well, she took one of her sharpest knives from the kitchen and cut Peter open without much resistance.
It's not true. I didn't kill the rabbit.
I know you didn't, Rosa. The tox screen came back and showed no signs of a sedative in his blood. It did, however, show signs of a much stronger sleeping drug. Horse tranquilizers.
A horse tranquilizer? Who would use such a thing on our poor, innocent rabbit?
Calm down, Mr. Wellington. There is a man that has access to horse tranquilizers, and he has a motive. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know who I'm talking about, but it does take the best detective in the world. Lucky for you, that's me. I'm talking about, of course, Mr. Kyle Porkenhouse!
I wouldn't do it, you dumb pig!
Easy with the dirty talk, sweetheart. I know for a fact Mr. Wellington is in debt to you after he lost out on what you assured him was a sure thing.
James, have you been playing the ponies again?
Relax, you crazy broad. What a man does with his money is between he and his mistress.
But it's my money.
Well, it's our money, sweetheart.
Nevertheless, James has been in debt to Porkenhouse for months. I've never known a patient bookie in my life, and Porkenhouse is no exception. He needed to get back at James, and he knew the best way possible. So he grabbed a tranquilizer from his friends at the racetrack and put it directly into Peter. Then, after the rabbit was asleep, he cut its stomach open to make sure James knew the consequences of his actions.
How could you, you monster? Who kills a poor animal for money?
Not Porkenhouse. He was the perfect suspect until I learned about his alibi.
But he has no alibi. He is a criminal and a coward. Arrest this man!
Au contraire, Mr. Wellington. While Porkenhouse may be a coward, he's no criminal. In fact, he's a member of PETA and was recently spotted protesting the unfair treatment of ants at the hands of kids with magnifying glasses.
But he's a bookie for horse racers. That makes no sense.
Horses want to be ridden, it's in their blood. Ants don't want to be burned alive under the magnified rays of the sun.
Well, then who killed Peter? We've gone through all the suspects in this room.
Or have we, Mr. Wellington? Or have we?
Just what are you trying to say, Mr. Hogart?
What I am saying, James Wellington, is that you are Peter Wellington's murderer.
That is a bold-faced lie and an unfounded accusation.
You might be able to fool everyone else in the room, Mr. Wellington. You might even be able to fool yourself. But you can't fool me, the best detective in the world.
It's not true. James would never hurt a fly, much less our rabbit.
You owe money to debt collectors from here to New York. Your husband needed money, and fast.
But what does that have to do with Peter's death?
Well, Mrs. Wellington, after researching your family's legal history, it seemed that a great sum of money went missing shortly after your father's death. And to hide the assets, your family hid the family jewels inside the rabbit. And by family jewels, I mean emeralds, rubies, crap like that.
So, what you're saying is...
Your husband snuck into Peter's room, stuck him with a horse tranquilizer, and then chopped the rabbit open to get the family jewels, which he then sold off for cash to pay off his debts.
I was just a dime of that money.
So, Mr. Wellington, are we gonna do this the easy way or the hard way?
I admit it. I killed him. We needed the money desperately. You don't understand how hard it is to be this wealthy.
Please, don't be so hard on him. It was my idea. I put him up to it. Don't give him the chair.
Relax, Mrs. Wellington, relax. The worst I could give your husband is animal cruelty, but quite frankly, I don't feel like doing the paperwork. Good day to you two.